So my name is Madison Spenrath. I'm the MDI coordinator here at the Human Early Learning Partnership at UBC, and I have with me Merritt Gilbert, and we will be your main contacts for the project if you have any questions throughout. So Merritt's typing in responses to your questions. So today we will go over some background on middle childhood development and introduce the middle years development instrument, and then go through some of the key steps to MDI administration. So first, just a little bit more about HELP, the Human Early Learning Partnership, if you're not familiar. We are an interdisciplinary research center at UBC. Our vision is to create, advance, and most importantly, apply knowledge to help children and families thrive. And just right off the top, we want to thank you. By participating in this project, you're making a significant contribution to research in BC. So let's start with the timeline of child development. In the past, in recent years, research on child development focused on the significance of both the early years and adolescence, but less was known about the middle childhood period, which is the ages 6 to 12. People believed that it was kind of a latent period or a phase of stability where development was less dramatic than at other stages in childhood. But more recent research is showing that, especially in the last decade, we know that a number of critical changes are occurring during this middle childhood period. So cognitively, children are becoming more self-aware and aware of others. Socially, children's worlds begin expanding as connections to peers become increasingly important. Academically, in schools, children are beginning to receive grades and facing that pressure to succeed. And physically, they're starting to enter puberty. So we know now that what's happening during these middle years are setting children up for how they handle adolescence and adulthood. And I'm sure you're seeing this in your school environments every day. So Kimberly Schonert-Reichel, I'm sure many of you are familiar with her or have had the pleasure of hearing her speak. She's the director of the Human Early Learning Partnership and an applied developmental psychologist and professor of education at UBC. And she began her career as a teacher in middle school and high school. And she's internationally recognized as an expert in the area of social and emotional learning. And I will just play this video now where she introduces some of the recent research highlights from social and emotional learning. Just switch over here.
Hi, I'm here today to tell you more about the recent science on children's social and emotional learning and social and emotional fitness. Recent years has seen a focus on how we look at child development. For years, we focused on ill-being or the negative aspects of child development. We now have something we call a paradigm shift to well-being, a focus on identifying those factors that make a difference in children's life to promote their health and well-being. One of the ways in which we've changed our focus is to focus more on prevention rather than intervention. So if you think about intervention as when you wait till a child already has problems and you take the life preserver and you throw it out to them to help them stay afloat. Prevention is really about equipping children with a life jacket, giving them the tools and the necessary equipment they need to stay afloat when they encounter problems in their lives. One way that we can talk about this is using the term social and emotional fitness. So all of you know that physical fitness is important for your own well-being. Helps you live longer, stay healthy, be able to recover better from injury. I'd like to now start thinking about social and emotional fitness in the same way we think about physical fitness, practicing those skills and attributes that we need to be socially and emotionally fit, to be able to weather problems and to have good relationships, to have empathy, and to be able to get along with others. What we know from the research is there's a growing movement occurring across North America, really the world, and we call it social and emotional learning. What we know from the recent science is that these social and emotional competencies or skills are actually malleable. You can teach them. Before we used to think that you either were born with them or you weren't. And now we know that you can teach them, that children have that capacity to practice and learn these through programs in schools, through nurturing relationships, and positive contexts. There are 5 sets of social and emotional competencies that we all need to be successful in school and in life. First, there's self-awareness, being able to be aware of your strengths and weaknesses, aware of your emotions. There's self-management, being able to manage your emotions and regulate your actions and behaviors. Social awareness, being able to have empathy, to be able to take another person's perspective. There's responsible decision making, and that's really being able to think about how your behaviors and actions affect others, and relationship skills, being able to get along with others and negotiate conflict. What we know from the science is that these skills, these social and emotional competencies, are not only important for school success, they're important for career and life success. In fact, there was one recent study that was a meta-analysis that brought together hundreds of studies with over 270,000 students to find, do children who are exposed to social and emotional learning programs and practices fare better than those children not exposed to them? What they found was fascinating. They essentially found that those children who were in programs or schools that practiced social and emotional learning, where children learned these skills, they not only improved in their social and emotional skills, those children also increased their academic achievement by 11 percentile points compared to children not exposed to such programs. What's fascinating about these research findings is that we show that when you improve children's social and emotional skills, you also increase their academic achievement. However, the reverse is not true. When you focus specifically on children's academic achievement, you do not improve their social and emotional skills. So really, this demonstrates the importance of promoting children's social and emotional fitness. Recently, there's been a study about the importance of children's social and emotional skills in predicting their school and life success. In the study, they found that nice kids finish first. In kindergarten, teachers rated children's pro-social skills. That is, how much children cooperated, listened to others, got along with others. And they followed these children 13 to 19 years later. What they found was fascinating. Those children with higher pro-social skills predicted whether or not, as a young adult, they graduated from high school, completed a college degree, obtained stable employment, be less likely to be on public assistance, and less likely to be involved with the police. So what you've learned today is the importance of promoting children's social and emotional fitness. This fitness is not only important for school success, but also at home and in communities. And what's really important about this is that all of you can make a difference in promoting children's social and emotional health and well-being.
Great. So I'll just switch back here. So that was a really nice overview of some of the recent research highlights, and you can find more information and research on social emotional learning on our website. So now I'll shift towards the middle years development instrument, which is really built on the foundation of recent research in social and emotional learning. So it's a survey completed by grade 4 and grade 7 students. Your school district may be doing either the grade 4 or the grade 7 survey, or both. The time between grade 4 and grade 7, ages 9 to 12, is a transitional period in development in which we know there is an increased risk but also an increased opportunity to make a difference. And previous research has found that responses from children in grade 4 and above are about as reliable and valid as responses from adults. So the MDI is measuring areas of development that are strongly linked to well-being, health, and academic achievement. And the survey was developed by a UBC research team led by Dr. Kimberly Schonert-Reichel, but with considerable input from children, parents, teachers, and community groups, including the United Way of the Lower Mainland. And the questions included in the MDI survey were assembled from surveys previously used and validated with children. The MDI is a population-based survey, so it's telling us about groups such as neighborhoods, cities, or regions, and it's allowing us to see population trends in children's well-being. It's not an individual or diagnostic measure, and it's not used to evaluate teachers or schools or individual programs. So children are filling out the survey themselves at school, and it's administered by teachers or a principal or someone else in the school. The MDI is upholding Article 12 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which emphasizes the importance of children's voices. It gives us insight into areas that have great significance in children's lives but are not typically evaluated by other assessments. So rather than evaluating academic progress, the MDI gives children an opportunity to communicate their experiences, feelings, and wishes. And it's measuring a number of domains, including physical, mental, and emotional health, in order to give a full picture of the child. It asks children about their experiences both inside and outside of school. And some of you might be familiar with the EDI, the Early Development Instrument, which is a population health measure that kindergarten teachers fill out about their students. And the EDI is measuring social, physical, and cognitive development of children, reflecting the experiences from birth to school entry. So together, the EDI and MDI are allowing communities to monitor how children are doing from the early to the middle years. So the MDI since 2010 has spread out across BC. 26 school districts have participated to date with over 33,000 children in that. And while the MDI has its roots in BC, it's also been administered internationally, for example in Australia, and is next year being piloted in a few sites across Canada. But BC is really a leader in recognizing and acting upon the importance of social and emotional learning for children. I'm sure many are familiar with the new BC core competencies that have been drafted and are now being phased in. And the core competencies for personal awareness and responsibility, social responsibility, are now posted on the BC curriculum website. The MDI is aligned with the personal and social competency domains, which include measures related to well-being, self-regulation, and relationships. And Dr. Kim Schonert-Reichel participated in the expert advisory committee for the new core competencies. So there are 5 dimensions on the MDI, each being made up of several measures. So the first is social and emotional development, which includes measures of optimism, self-esteem, happiness, empathy, pro-social behavior, and then sadness and worries, but reverse scored because it's a positive frame. The next dimension is physical health and well-being, which includes overall health, body image, and mealtime and sleep experiences. Connectedness includes relationships with both adults and peers inside and outside of school. Use of after-school time is measuring involvement in after-school activities, also participation in unstructured activities, and asking children what they wish to be doing in the after-school hours. School experiences include belonging, victimization, academic concept, and school climate. So these are all of the measures that you will be seeing your students' responses on. Neighborhood level results show the well-being and assets present in children's lives across neighborhoods and communities within each school district. So we have reporting at the school level, at the neighborhood level by where children live according to their home postal code, and also at the school district level. So now we'll get into the details of how to administer the MDI. So your role in understanding this data collection process and in guiding your students carefully through the survey is very critical to this project. And we just want to really take this time to say thank you for your interest and participation. So the privacy of children, families, and teachers is paramount in this study. All information that is collected is kept confidential and used for research purposes. All the information is kept at health in a secure server here at UBC, and personal identifiers are stripped from the data. Parents are informed, participation is voluntary, and consent is passive, and we don't identify individual children or teachers in our reporting. So again, a bit more on this participation. You would have had parent letters distributed, and hopefully they were sent home about a month ago. So we have, the survey can be administered throughout the month of November, but we do need to give parents 4 weeks of time with the parent letter. So if it went home a little bit later, then we just have to shift the survey administration a little bit later in the month. And if you have any questions on that, just feel free to follow up. There is a withdrawal form at the back of the parent letter that parents or guardians can return to the classroom teacher if they don't wish their child to participate. Students can also opt out at any time, even after they complete the survey. There is a withdrawal button at the bottom of each page of the online survey. One of the key roles is, as a survey administrator, is reading the assent script, or it's a welcome assent script that's read aloud at the beginning of survey administration, which outlines the option for students to withdraw. So now we'll get into the steps of preparing for MDI administration. So we recommend you review the helpful materials, the MDI Survey Administration Guide and instructional surveys. They are posted on the MDI Administrator's blog along with other useful resources. Here's the link here, and the eMDI website, which I will show shortly. We also recommend that you take a chance to log in to the MDI website, mdi.ubc.ca, to review your class list and print student logins. School districts are starting to send password reset emails to give access to the MDI. So you should already have this or have it in the next week or two. This is what the email looks like. It has a link so that you can create your own secure password and log in with your school district email. So here's the login page. Click on Teacher or Administrator Login and enter your school district email address and password. So the first step is clicking on number 1 on the left-hand sidebar, Add or Delete Students. So your class list will have already been uploaded by your school district. So the first thing is to check to see if all of the students are in your class that need to be. If a student's missing, but they've been in your class for at least 30 days and that parent letter was sent home, then you can click on Options and select, and you can add a student under Options. So if the child left a class or a parent has withdrawn, you received that parent withdraw form, you would remove the child from the class list. And to do that, you would select the child's name to view the student info page and then click Options, Edit, and then you can delete them there. The next step is to print off the student logins. You print off the student login information and then you can distribute it on the day of survey administration. So you would click on the green button, Print Student Logins. And students can only log in when the survey is unlocked. So here's the Unlock button to unlock the survey to give access. You can also preview what this electronic survey looks like online here. So here's the Print Student Login page. You can click on the green button to print this page, and you can just cut it into strips to distribute. So it's the student's name and then a username and password. So we recommend that you collect the passwords after administration. We also recommend informing the school counselor that the survey is taking place in case anything arises for a student and they wish to speak further. So now on the day of survey administration, you will need 1 to 2 class periods to administer the MDI. Grade 4 students usually need closer to 2 class periods, and grade 7 students can usually finish within 1 class period. And we suggest allowing at least 10 minutes for students to log into the survey. It can sometimes take a while. So to protect the security of student logins, the students can only log in when it's been unlocked by the teacher or principal or whoever's administering the survey. So once the survey is complete, we recommend that you collect those logins and lock the survey again. So this just protects so that the student they can't be logging in outside of class time or anything like that. You can unlock the survey as often as needed. And if the students finish the survey in 1 class period, those logins are no longer valid, so you can just get rid of them. But if you are doing it over more than 1 class period, you collect the student logins and then you can redistribute them. The survey will automatically lock after 4 hours. So then preparing the classroom or computer lab. The survey works well on either desktops in a computer lab or laptops or tablets such as iPads in a classroom. And the best browser for the survey is Firefox, Chrome, or Safari. So we recommend preparing the lab under test conditions, so having space between students if possible, and having a classroom set of headphones available. We do have a voiceover function so that students can click on a little speaker icon beside each question and hear it read aloud through a voiceover function. So that works well with headphones. We also ask that you prepare alternative activity related to regular classroom instruction for students that are not participating in the MDI. And finally, direct students to the login page. It's the same website, www.mdi.ubc.ca, and they click the student button and enter that password login information that's from the strips that you distribute. And then the instructional survey is what you will use to guide your students along completing the survey. You can also project the survey if you're in a computer lab through that online preview survey button. We've seen some teachers do that, and it works well. The most important piece is to read aloud the assent script, which is the first thing that students see when they log in, and it's that first welcome assent script in the instructional survey. It describes what students will be doing and informs them that they can choose not to participate. So we ask that you read this aloud so that students understand the purpose of the survey, their confidentiality of responses, and that the participation is voluntary. After reading the assent script aloud, we suggest you begin the survey by reading the demographics section aloud. This can be a little bit challenging for some students, so it works best if you read it aloud and do the questions together. And then the instruction section just has a couple of sample questions that it works really well if the class answers together to get a sense of the questions. And then after that, students can read the questions on their own and request assistance as needed. And there are just tips and instructions for the survey administration throughout the instructional survey. So just a couple of reminders for while you're administering the survey. We ask that you remain neutral, so refrain from making jokes or additional comments. And if a student's asking for clarification on a question, we ask that you reread the question directing it at that student, such as, what would you say to me if I said question? And to ensure privacy and confidentiality and to help students feel their answers will be kept private, we ask that you don't look at students' responses while they complete the survey, but do observe students' behavior so they're not disrupting other students or looking at other students' responses. And then finally, at the end of the survey, because of the questions related to peer victimization, there's a student help request option following the survey. So students are asked whether they would like to talk to their teacher or principal about a problem they are having, and if they say yes, I would like help, an email is sent directly to the classroom teacher and principal with just the name of the student that requested help. So we don't see these student requests unless the email fails, we get a bounce back email, then we will follow up with the teacher or principal. And we ask that you just check your email after administration and then follow your school protocol for following up with students. We don't need to know about any outcome of the follow-up. We have heard from participating teachers and principals that these help requests are a good opportunity to hear from a student perhaps they may not have been aware was having a problem. And then finally, we do have an optional feedback form at the end of administration. We really appreciate any feedback on your experience with the MDI. It's anonymous, and we use it every year to improve our process for teachers, administrators, and students. So that is the process of MDI administration. I'll talk about a little bit about reporting. So if your school district has participated in the past, hopefully you've seen your MDI results. You can access them at this website link here. So data collected from the MDI, again, is reported in 3 different levels. So school reports, neighborhoods, and school districts. School reports are internal, not released publicly. We distribute them through superintendents, and they're used at the school district administration. The reason we do this is we want to avoid any kind of ranking or comparisons of schools. The school district and community reports are including all of the children who are surveyed in the school district, and they are aggregated within the school district boundary as well as the neighborhoods where children live based on their home postal code. So these results are very useful for a variety of people working inside and outside of schools as they're reported at the neighborhood level. There's also a guide to understanding MDI results, which has a lot of information and background on the questions and the research behind the questions as well, and also some really great resources on how to use the data to move to action in your schools and communities on the website as well. So here is our contact information here at HELP. The main contact number is 604-827-5504, and the email address mdi@help.ubc.ca. And we're kind of on call throughout the month of November. If you have any questions or experiencing any technical difficulties or trouble logging in, please don't hesitate to call or email us at any time. You also have a local contact at your school district that has been helping and administering and getting everything set up on that end, so they're also there for support as well. So that is all I had to say today, and now we can take a few questions, or if you have to rush off to class. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate your participation in the MDI, and feel free to be in touch if you have any questions.
So we have